Welcome to Easily Entertained. My name is Bryson Olson, and here we talk about all aspects of entertainment. Obviously, today we are getting into Black Mirror, a trippy little show that has been going on since 2011, actually, and they just released season 7 last week. I thought the episodes were great. I've already binged them. They were awesome. And I just kind of love the idea of Black Mirror, so I kind of wanted to talk about, which, warning, because of the new season, there will be some minor spoilers for some of the episodes in season 7. So if you haven't watched it yet and you don't want to know what happens, click off. Go watch it first, then come back here. Otherwise, we're just going to dive right into Black Mirror.
We'd like to welcome you back.
So if you didn't already know, Black Mirror, like how it got its title, is referring to that of TV screens, where when they turn off, they kind of become a black mirror. And so the show is kind of there to reflect life, specifically on things usually regarding technology. Not always, but a lot of the times it is based around technology and kind of provides some conversation there, just as like a reflection of our world. It's awesome. It's also an anthology series. If you don't know what that means all the episodes are not in a chronological order. And in this case, they are all different stories. Most of them don't really overlap with each other. They just kind of are their own little standalone story, which I think is great for this show, because that really lets them expand on some ideas without having to always rely on, we have to have this fit the plot and universe as much as we can. Like, they kind of go back and forth a lot, where they can kind of mix things up, which I think is great. But it really just shows, like I said, it's that like reflection of life, and they take it a bit bigger. That's why the title of this is an amplified reflection, because yes, it is reflecting our life, but it is kind of going above and beyond. You know, it's kind of taking it out of control, where what if this aspect of our life were to get a little out of hand, to go a little bit too big. Like a big example of that they use in a lot is technology reliance, where we rely so much on technology nowadays that in Black Mirror, they do it to where, okay, how do we do this where someone is completely obsessed with technology? Or like, I believe it's the first season, it's like obsessed being on a TV show, or obsessing about social media, obsessing about online presence, or the way certain technology feels or how it acts, that kind of stuff, where it really dives into the technology aspect of it. And that's why like Black Mirror is the title. Like I said, it's meant to be like a TV screen, and that's where everything kind of expands. Especially, I feel like when it started in 2011, TV was one of the biggest things. Phones had emerged at that point, but they weren't as big as they are now. So now you would probably refer to Black Mirror more representing like our phones, but really it just is screens in general, computers, where we are so attached to our devices that Black Mirror allows it to kind of get warped a little bit, to see how extreme things could become. Some people are like, is it an accurate future? Is it like a prediction? And I don't think that's necessarily the case. However, doing it in extremes allows us to reflect more on the now, where like, okay, someone kind of has a social media addiction. What if that technology were to go further, where your social media presence, like already people make money off social media. What if that was the only way to make money? Or what if it was like the primary job space? That kind of stuff, where it becomes so ingrained in people's lives that it makes you think on where the current state is now. It doesn't mean it will get to a Black Mirror episode level, but it makes you think about it. I know sometimes like things happen in real life where we kind of think about that, where like when the Meta Quest type stuff was coming out and they're like, we're gonna have the metaverse, that's very Black Mirror-esque type thinking, or whenever we have AI stuff more involving robots, not like generative AI. They kind of cover that too in Black Mirror, but generative AI sucks. But like more like intelligent AI and how they could inhabit robots and different stuff like that. It just shows, okay, where are we now and what is a possible future if we were to kind of go a bit extreme and dive like right into it. And it also tries to do it in a way that shows mostly the dark side of stuff, where people abuse technology and are obsessed with technology to an unhealthy level. Not always, but it is the majority of the show is they are like, how could this be used in a bad way, in an extreme bad way? Like, you know, there are a few episodes where that's not exactly the case, but a lot of it is more of the almost negative side, where how can it be too much? You know, so to kind of dive further into that negative side, let's get into that.
You can inflict pain on yourself, but not terror.
So there are a few things that I feel like the show, some of them, like they're kind of resurfacing themes. And that, you know, it makes sense. Like if you're dealing with technology, a lot of themes are going to kind of revamp themselves. They're going to keep recurring. Even in real life, that kind of stuff keeps happening, where things will happen, and like because of social media, like online cyberbullying, that kind of stuff, people will then like have the discussion, and then the discussion falls off, and then a new event happens and they talk about it more. Or it's like gun control, or partisan based political systems, or just controversial ideas in general. Like people will talk about it and then it will die down, and then people will talk about it and it will die down. And that's kind of how the show goes. And sometimes it's like a reflection of what is happening currently. Like I feel like this season reflected quite a few things that have happened more recently, or that people have talked about and discussed more recently. One of them, the first episode in season 7, it's called Common People. And this woman, she has, I don't remember exactly what it is, but it's a brain problem. She has to have surgery, and they put an implant in it. But the way for the implant to work, it connects to a cloud-based server that this company provides, and they have to run it on a subscription base in order to keep her alive. And then they do like what Netflix or other platforms do, where they add different subscription tiers, where, oh, you can only get true sleep if you pay for this premium thing, which is really stupid. And it shows like the manipulation of subscriptions, and like the manipulation of a healthcare system, which has obviously been a huge thing in very recent times. This was most likely filmed way before some of the recent healthcare stuff, you know, like Luigi Mangione type things. But healthcare has kind of been an ongoing issue, so that kind of makes sense. And then in that same episode, you also have themes of selling yourself for money online, kind of relating to things like OnlyFans or dark websites. Like, not all of those things are inherently bad. Like, if someone does OnlyFans, or if you do OnlyFans, if you're watching this, good on you. You're getting a bag. But it does bring into the conversation of selling yourself in one way or another for money, and it makes you think. And these are kind of some negative aspects of it. Or I talked earlier about obsessing over your online presence. I believe it's season 3. I believe the episode's titled Nosedive. But like, people obsess over their online presence to a ridiculous degree. It's like now where people try and curate their feed to look so nice and proper, but you don't know anything real about that person. It's It's merely what they decide to show you. Their real life could be absolutely terrible. It could be amazing. It could be completely different. It could not really be what they say their day in the life is. And that is all a mirage. It's all an illusion to just play themselves off for the masses. It makes you think, how are we using online platforms ourselves? Or like even back in like the first season, you have like online manipulation where there's like I think he's a government employee or someone in the news, and he has to do some heinous things because of these people online that are kind of forcing him to do it. And it's awful, and people have to do that nowadays, where sometimes there are very predatory actions happening online, whether to an adult or to children, and it is just, it's sort of regulated, but it's not. You can't really regulate the internet because it's so massive, and you can't limit certain things, and that gets really hard. And then you think about all the dark things that people can do. Like they kind of touched on a topic from a previous season. I can't remember how many seasons ago, but they had one called the USS Callister. They did another one in that same universe in this season, and that one like talks about like trapping consciousness, like duplicating someone's mind and holding a copy of it and in like a digital world, and then being really like evil and like doing really bad things. And like that is wild. But when you think about the things that people are trying to do today, where we're like, oh, how can we upload someone's consciousness so they can essentially live on forever? That's basically like what that is. And in concept, it's, oh, that could be a good idea, but also in practice, that could end up being really bad, because then who has control of the consciousness? Like, if they're just on a computer, they don't really have a choice in doing certain things, or things like that. Or there's another episode, I believe from season 5, where it's a similar thing, where they trap a consciousness, but they they plant a fake consciousness in the real person, and they take the real consciousness from that person and put it in a robot. It's like the Miley Cyrus episode, I think. Rachel, Jack, and Ashley too. But that one, it's like, and then you're thinking of like manipulation in entertainment, where things can kind of be manufactured and people have to kind of sell themselves. Once again, going back to the selling yourself, which can kind of feel really bad. It's just, there's a lot of things in the technology space and the online space that can be really negative. And the way Black Mirror shows it to really make us think about it is to reflect it at a bigger extreme, where you're like, oh, this is really bad. Like, if you ever feel like you have a really bad social media addiction, or like you're addicted to porn, or I don't know, you can't stop looking at your phone, like not even just social media, but you get like the phantom notification, where you feel like it buzzed in your pocket but it didn't actually, so it makes you check your phone. That kind of stuff, where those things are already very extreme. How could Black Mirror push it further? And like, how do you obsess and just fall and lose yourself into it? And it is a show, like, sometimes I do think it's kind of meant to scare you, to be like, check yourself. But also I do think it's there to like kind of have that philosophical type questioning of it, is how much do I really need this thing? Like, technology is awesome, but you also have to think about it like, it is awesome, but I need to be conservative about it. I need to not just rely on technology and be able to think for myself and research. It's like my previous episode on Heretic. We kind of have to question everything. Don't just take things at face value. Don't take social media at face value. Question why companies are doing certain things. If someone asks you to do something on the internet, why? Maybe figure out why. Like, you have to question certain things. And that's what Black Mirror does, is it makes you question the now, so that you can potentially not live in a future that is like a Black Mirror episode. You know, I would like that. I would like things to be good and, you know, have technology pushed in a nice way, which will lead us into our next topic.
Can't have you. I don't want nobody, baby. I can't have you.
So while not as common in Black Mirror, there are some moments where things can be kind of positive. Okay, it doesn't all have to be negative, especially because it deals with technology and what if certain things today went a different way and, you know, blew it further. And I think that can be really great. I think that could be awesome. There are certain things that there are in Black Mirror episodes where I'm like, oh, that would be so sick. One in this one, in the episode Eulogy, a guy, he gets like this, not implant, but like device where he can look at pictures and kind of travel through them. And it takes his memories of those to kind of recreate them so that he can relive his memories so they can be put into a memorial for a woman who passed away. I think of things like that today that people try to do in order for people who have lost loved ones or family members or friends, like obviously loved ones, just people who have lost others to relive the memories with them. I think that is a very sweet kind of thing. Or there is currently a company, I can't remember exactly if this is real or not, but the idea is cool. If like someone plants a tree for someone who has died, like if you've ever heard of the tree pods, where you put like the person who died in a pod, like a dirt pod, that will eventually feed a tree that will grow in like their burial plot. Cool idea, especially like for sustainability, but also then get like a pedestal in front of that tree that houses like a small computer that you can search like through their not memories, but like experiences with. You could make like an AI of their voice in order to hear their voice again and hear them talk about their life. And those are like positive things. That'd be a positive like Black Mirror episode to how do we relive our life with someone? How do we remember people in a way that is special? And I know there are things more physical that people do like that today, where, you know, people will get old pictures and kind of not remaster them, but like scan them into Photoshop and clean them up a little bit to try and make it look like it was when it was first printed. And the Black Mirror episode version of that is just taking it further. It's like, how do we enter that photo? And that, I think, is a beautiful, positive thing that Black Mirror can kind of show, where you're taking technology or just the current situations we are in now and pushing it further. That, I think, is amazing. Or the examples that I have for this section are going to be all in season 7, just warning. But there's one example where they are talking about old movies and they're like, the movies now just aren't what they used to be and they're more expensive to make now. And so this company is like, well, what if we basically populated a virtual world of the old characters and like remastered it while like scanning in some new people to like redo it and kind of have like a mix of old and new. Awesome. I think that would be a really cool idea. I'm not saying the way Black Mirror does it is the right way to do it, but I know they're already sort of doing that in Hollywood. So to kind of continue on with it a little bit and maybe refine it and be like, okay, what are the logistics of this? Like, could we have someone sign in perpetuity, hey, I'm okay with this specific project, but don't do it for others? Because that's like a big problem now, as people get like CGI doubles, and then the idea is, well, what if the company just wants to use the double and like CGI everything? Because there are cases of CGI looking completely photorealistic. We're getting there. I know people like to not think that because they're like, oh, CGI sucks nowadays. We still have amazing examples of CGI. It just needs to be worked on. But anyways, it's like there's a lot of ethical complications. So this one, not just positive, it's more like neutral, where it's like, oh, this could be good, oh, this could be bad. Or there's a concept of like true AI coming about. And I know people are very iffy on AI. I think especially because of like generative AI type stuff. That's not true AI. And I have a video coming soon talking about generative AI that I'm excited for. So stay tuned for that. We will talk more about that, but I'm not talking about that kind of AI right now. I'm talking true AI, artificial intelligence that actually thinks for itself. It's not just fed data. It learns properly, teaches itself, and finds a way to communicate. They have an episode in this season specifically about that. Well, there are a few kind of that sort of cover it. Even like the one that I talked about before, like the movie one, they said like populate like a digital world. They're fed the memories of the actors, and then one of them starts like thinking. It's super cool. But in a different episode, like AI is disguised as like a game called The Throng, and it shows like a guy watching over them as they start to evolve and develop language. And when he takes acid, he can understand them. And that kind of stuff is cool. I think AI is actually really interesting. Even like we have dark aspects of AI, but also AI could be really cool. If you think about like Detroit Become Human, where there are certain examples of artificial intelligence being developed and they don't want to hurt people, they just want to live. Or you have Wall-E and Eve in obviously Wall-E. You have Chappie, you have iRobot, you have all these examples of AI who develops consciousness and is not out to harm. And I think Black Mirror shows it in a way where things could be good with AI, where AI could be just another being. You know, or you have like Love, Death, and Robots, like a whole bunch of other media. You have AI where it's not, oh, we're going to kill all the humans. I would hope that we could treat AI correctly so that they don't want to kill us, but rather they want to live in peace with us. Once again, we're going to talk about that a little bit in my video talking about AI. So stay tuned, subscribe so you can be aware of that. But I do just love that Black Mirror takes all these aspects and conversations that we're having right now, where things are rapidly changing and they could go crazy different ways. And it's giving us hypotheticals. What if it went like this? What if it went like this? What if instead of this, we did this? It's fascinating. And it just makes you think of who we are, where we have been, and where we're going to go. And for that, that's why I love Black Mirror. And if you haven't seen the show, you should absolutely go check it out. It's kind of trippy sometimes. And there are certain episodes where you're like, what the heck is happening? And then you're like really weirded out. It's understandable. That's why being an anthology is awesome. You can just skip the episodes you don't like. Great. But let's talk about my rating for Black Mirror. And especially because it's like not like a one storyline thing, that'll kind of change the rating a little bit. But if you don't know the easily entertained rating scale, from least to best, it is garbage, once is fine, right mood, quotable, go to, and all day, every day. And I would put Black Mirror probably at a go-to. There are some episodes where I'm like, oh, I could watch this all the time. It's so interesting. And I just think about it a lot. But there are also some episodes where I'm like, I don't really care about this one, or it doesn't spark as much conversation, or I don't like it, or whatever. So for that, it kind of like brings it down a little bit. So I would say it's a go-to for me. If you have a different rating for Black Mirror, let us know down in the comments. But that is it for this episode of Easily Entertained. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, leave a like and subscribe so you can be notified of all new episodes when they come out every Tuesday. It's always a great time. And if you have ideas for future episodes that you'd like to hear me talk about, some suggestions of any entertainment topics, let me know and I might get around to them. But until next time, bye.